And welcome to King Connections podcast. I'm your host, King, and I'm actually joined today by Sarah York. How you doing today, Sarah?
Fantastic. How about yourself?
Doing great. Now one of the first questions I like to ask to get things started is really, uh, what's your spiritual energy number? And what I mean by that question is, from zero being life sucks to 10 being life is awesome. Where would you say you kind of fit right now in that field?
Most of the time, I'm pretty high up there. I would say today I'm a nine.
Excellent, excellent. And the reason I ask that question is, when I normally do my meetings or I have events, I always ask folks in attendance that question because I've often found that if I get a lot of twos and threes, people that say they're at a two or three, then it's not going to be great energy. It's not going to be a very fruitful conversation. So I just like to ask people to leave because there's not going to be any much benefit from it. But when people say 8, 9, and 10, then I know that the possibilities are infinite as far as what we can actually do, create, co-create together.
Perfect.
So now, with that being asked, thank you for indulging me with that question. Our first question would be, what do you see as your purpose in life?
Um, for me, I think I look to the Muhammad Ali quote. So long time ago, around the time of his passing, there was a quote that was released, and it said, "The service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth." And that resonated with me so much. And I think my purpose is exactly that. I think I need to be the person that pays it forward and helps to uplift other people.
Excellent. I love that quote too, by the way, and I agree wholeheartedly. That's one of the things I love about interviewing and doing a podcast is meeting conscious leaders specifically because folks who are conscious already identify with that kind of ideology, that kind of spirit, right? So it's not trying to convince someone the importance of being conscious. It's people who already identify with that and just kind of learning best practices of how they implement their consciousness.
Absolutely.
And which speaks to my next question, which is within this conscious world, we throw that term out quite a bit. And there's no real consensus on it. It's now become a buzzword that people use. So I always like to ask folks, how do you define a conscious leader?
In its most simplistic form, I look at it as a leader that puts purpose over profits. When you do that, the profits will eventually come,
Yes.
but making sure that you are answering your why, and for me, that means focusing on social good as a part of our overall business.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, the next question I find to be one of my favorite. I have most of my love, but I have some favorites within this list of questions I'm going to ask. But it really sets the context of what I feel is a key characteristic that I look for, I have in myself, and I look for other people I connect with. That is, what are you most grateful for?
My daughter. I don't want to get emotional, but I did not think that I would be able to have a child. And so she's a blessing every single day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I can see that the emotion behind it, which is a good thing, that you really feel that gratitude for that. So
Oh, so much. So much.
definitely respect that. Now, as we shift over to what you do with your company, so what is the mission of, and correct me if I'm saying it wrong, Spave?
Yes, it's big.
Okay, so what is the mission of Spave and kind of what are your roles and responsibility at Spave?
Sure. The mission is to transform spending for good. So utilizing your everyday spending to then do positive things. So whether that's saving for something that you care about or giving as part of your financial whole picture to causes that you care about. And so every time that you spend something using your card or whatever, you're taxing and tipping yourself in a way to achieve larger goals. And with Spave, the idea is to make the world better and to utilize what you would do anyway, your everyday spending to do that. So you don't change your life drastically to make incremental change. So with that said, my role at Spave, I'm Chief Marketing and Digital Officer. But I think most importantly, I'm the evangelist for the company. I'm the person that says what we do, how we do it, and why it should matter to the end user, to the companies that we work with.
Well, I love that mission, and I love the fact that the organization exists, because I definitely agree that, getting people who are consumers, because we're all consumers at some point in our lives on a daily basis, to understand that we vote with our dollars.
100%. You are so spot on. Yes.
And if we intentionally do that with companies that are environmentally conscious, social justice conscious, then we can really begin to affect change and let folks know why we do that. So I'm definitely aligned with the mission, and I'm glad we have this conversation. I definitely want to be able to support and connect you to other conscious leaders and possibly consumers that I know who want to actually begin to get educated on how to do that intentionally, strategically.
Absolutely. One of our phrases is little by little, a little becomes a lot. It's an African proverb. And it's all about that, taking small steps, and then eventually you'll see something really fantastic come out of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of my favorite books that I recently read this year has jumped to one of my favorite lists, is a book called Atomic Habits. And he talks about that change doesn't come instantaneously like we want it to, right? But you make a habit every single day to say, for example, I'm going to do one extra push-up. And then eventually, 30 days later, you've done 30 push-ups, right? But you start off with none, but you're just doing one more every single day. And that's the incremental change that we want to do. Because the incremental change is what's sustainable. It's not that I'm going to just do 30 push-ups tomorrow. That's not going to be sustainable.
Right.
So, again, your all's ideology and methodology as far as helping people make that shift. And I really think that we need more communication around this in the context of identifying companies, like, for example, as relates to, and I'm not just saying this from a political context, but I think there definitely needs to be some consequences to everyone's actions and behaviors, that companies who support the NRA, and we're saying that we want to see something change there, and companies who financially support that, and NRA obviously forces the politicians to vote regardless of what happens, then there should be consequences. Those companies should suffer from that. If that's the will that most people want, that change. Right?
Well, I think generationally we're changing as well. We expect more from business. We don't just want a transaction to take place. We want to make sure that we're putting our money somewhere that is doing even more than just buying a product.
Absolutely. So, what do you see with your marketing background expertise? I'm curious to know, what do you see as some of the best tech and market solutions today for small business, micro business, to kind of grow their presence and be visible in this world?
It varies business to business, right? I'm going to have different advice for someone that's running an e-commerce versus someone that's, running a very small mom and pop shop, selling cookies, right? But I think at its core, utilize the free tools that are available to you, right? You don't have to go and spend a ton of money to build up this marketing space. You don't have to go buy all the bells and whistles. I think you leverage what's available, right? Start with the free version of HubSpot, or the free version of Zoom to start taking your calls, or Slack to connect some of the team members. Again, varies by business, but you don't have to go all in and spend everything you have just because you hear that that's the next best thing, the latest thing. I think people don't put enough weight on personal brand and brand voice, because I think that's a big part of it. That people like to get behind something that they really care about, or someone that they have respect for. If there is that reciprocal feeling of camaraderie in what you're proposing, I think that it's easier to then push forth your business, regardless of what you're offering. Business is more, again, than just pushing out a product. People buy from people.
Yes.
And so the more you are real and trying to do your best every day and putting that out there, I think that only good can come from that.
Absolutely. I completely concur. Now, what would you say what drives you the most in your daily responsibilities?
Ooh. I think for me is working with my teams. I think it's a give take. We learn from each other every day. We make mistakes every single day, but it's what we get out of that. So, I mean, for me, it's more about celebrating the small wins and getting through some of those rough patches. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. What do you see as some of the key mistakes that small micro businesses sort of consistently make when it comes to marketing?
What I see all the time is people that try to do too much at once, right? So they're very disjointed in their efforts, and they're doing something over here, doing something over there, and they're not really focused. They haven't put a plan in place. They're just trying to do everything. I think one of the first things you should work on is why are you doing it, and how do you plan to get those things done, and then start putting those wheels in motion. You don't have to be on every social media channel. You don't have to be everything to everybody. It's really finding your niche and how you want to push that out in the best way possible. So, if you're running a business and you find that, you're more B2B, maybe LinkedIn is the tool for you and you want to put out more messaging via LinkedIn. But again, it varies based on what you're trying to do. You just have to figure out what that thing is for you.
Absolutely. I wish I had met you years ago when I first started doing digital marketing, because I came out and I, pretty much made the mistakes you're saying. I bought tools, paid a monthly subscription to tools I didn't really understand how to use. CRMs that were $250 a month that I was at no level ready to deal with all the functionality those tools offered. But I didn't have anyone who guided me in my marketing decisions. It was, the role as being a small micro business owner, you wear multiple hats. You're
Right.
CEO, you're also the marketing director, human resource director, sales, you're also the customer service rep. So you're wearing all these different CFO. And so that's why I believe so many people don't really grow, is because then they're trying to say, well, I can build a website myself. I can have my niece or my daughter do my marketing. It's like, it's because you're putting posts on social media doesn't mean you know how to do marketing. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where a lot of people make that mistake. So thank you for sharing some of those strategies. I think that's definitely important. And I definitely, speaking from experience, know the value of what you're saying and why people need to hear that advice. Now, what do you see as some of the key characteristics that you look for in establishing new connection? When you, like on LinkedIn and business to business, people want to connect with you, what are some of the characteristics you look for in establishing those connections?
I would take it back to that authenticity. Is the person I'm working with being real with me? Are they just there to close a deal? Are they taking the time to understand what my actual needs are? Are they trying to meet those needs? And then on the other side, it's just don't lead with an agenda, right? If you're going into a meeting and all you're thinking about is the thing that you're going to get out of it, you probably won't get much out of it. Yes, it does happen from time to time, but I think it's better to go into any type of relationship, business or otherwise, with open eyes and open heart, and listen, listen to one another to figure out, what you can do for one another.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great point, which is one of the reasons why I do the podcast and I ask the questions that I ask. It's because my goal is not to sit here and read off your resume and try to get people, myself, to sell you something or try to get you to sell something to my audience. It's really about getting my audience opportunity to connect with you. So the questions are designed to be more personal, because I believe that the person likes you and connect with you, then they read your bio. Then they begin to read all the information, because now they want to be more present, as opposed to me just listening to a whole bunch of activities that sound great on paper, but if you're a person that's not in line with who they are, it's not going to resonate with them anyway. So the relationship for me is always the goal I'm seeking. Let's build a relationship first. And for the relationship, we can have multiple transactions, right? And then trust will be established. We'll be more tolerant of each other. We'll be more respectful of each other. We'll be more committed to making sure there's a win-win there, creating value, as opposed to, as you say, having an agenda and just buy my product, or give me a referral, and we don't even know each other, and I haven't even earned that trust yet with you to even justify a true, authentic referral from your network. So
Absolutely.
those things out. Now, of all the things you've accomplished in your life, what would you say has been the most rewarding?
Hands down, family. I mean, it's about building your own little world, your own ecosystem, and feeding each other, whether it's ideas or emotionally, food, everything. We do everything together, and I think that is so important because you have to have your own group of people that are in your corner all the time. Your champions. And for me, family isn't just my immediate family. It's my people, it's my friends, it's my colleagues, it's people that for me are there for me, and we're there for each other. And I think that is, I don't know, irreplaceable.
Absolutely, I completely concur. And that's kind of what I do within my business. Is I look to build what I call connection intelligent tribes, and that is, because society forces us, but we want to be not into these tribes based on our race, based on our gender, based on our age, based on our demographic, sexual orientation, whatever it may be. Like, you're in this tribe, this is how you're supposed to behave, this is what you're supposed to believe, and you're supposed to be monolithic with everybody else in your tribe. And what I've advocated is, I'm beyond that. I only want to connect with folks who, first of all, we connect on purpose. And if we connect on purpose, then we can work together. Then you're a person of the tribe I want to build with. So that's the family I want to build with. And folks who want to make a difference in the world, see there's problems in the world, and then stand up and say, I want to be a justice warrior and do my part to make a change in the world, not just point on the side and complain about it, but actually be active in making that change manifest. So I'm completely in agreement with you there. Now, one of the things I'm curious about, and it's a question I love to ask different conscious leaders this question, because I know that to be a conscious leader requires more work, in my opinion, than to be a quote unquote unconscious, where you just think about the transaction and you don't think about yourself. When you think about the greater good, you think about how your actions and behaviors are going to impact others. And then you also have to keep yourself in a very positive state of mind. That I realize that there has to be a certain morning rituals that we go through, to kind of keep us conditioned or program us for the challenges that's going to come throughout our day, because our environment and the world is not conscious, it's not positive, right?
Right.
Every alert I get on my phone is something negative, which is negative. So my question for you within that context is, are there certain key rituals that you go through on a morning basis to kind of really keep you in that spirit of love and giving and gratitude?
I don't know if I would say key ritual. I mean, I have my things. I drink my mushroom coffee in the morning. I snuggle with my daughter before, we start our day. Like, things like that. They're little things that, get me in the right headspace to start. But I think more than anything, with so much noise and negativity, I'm reminded of something, and it's going to sound strange, that Mr. Rogers had said, right? It's more, look for the helpers, right? Because in anything negative that's happening, there are people within that are doing good, that are working to make things better. And so, obviously we've gone through a number of different things the last few weeks. Me being here in Texas with the school shootings and having a young child, there's a lot of questions that were asked. And in order to be able to answer some of those questions, that was the first thing that came to my mind. I have to be able to use this as a moment to teach my daughter that, the world is not terrible. There are some bad people, but the best way for me to do that was to have her understand that, look at all these people that came together. Look at all the mamas that are trying to do things to make sure that all the kids are safe, and, the things of that nature. I think, it's not a ritual per se, but in always trying to look for the good in any situation.
See, that's a very positive outlook to have. I'm a person that believes that, I don't know if you've heard this one. I'm sure you have, but it's just someone that's from a much older generation. Norman Vincent Peale, and he talked about how that in every problem is wrapped in like a gift, so it's present in every problem, and you have to unpack that present, unwrap it, a problem to get to the present, right? And to your point, that's what I go through. One of my morning rituals I go through called saying my gratitude moments. What I'm grateful for on a daily basis. There are all the things I'm grateful for. And one of the things I say I'm grateful for is that I'm grateful for my problems, because it's through the solution to my problems that growth is going to happen. And I know that
Absolutely.
I'm a different person because these problems exist in my life. And so, as you talked about before, as tragic as the school shootings were, that we get a chance to see these expressions of love, expressions of empathy and understanding across people, and that the biases are gone then.
When you find your tribe, right? Through trials and tribulations.
Absolutely.
You start to understand, who's really with you, who's in your corner. And, so much good can come out of terrible things. And you just have to focus on the good.
And have that right state of mind to make sure that that does happen, right? And be around those people who actually connect to them. So,
absolutely.
My next question is down to my last two favorite questions. That is, who would be a good kin connection for you? And what I mean by kin connection, let me kind of set the context, because I don't really necessarily mean a kin connection based off my name or my company's name. I define a kin connection as a person who has reached such a level of success, whether it's financial, whether it's societal success, that you admire them, and having them add you to their inner circle, it changed your life instantaneously, right? And so what I've done within my company, and I'm a system engineer and I'm a person who understands it's a process for everything. I believe there's a process for connecting with those individuals. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone famous, but someone just who you admire and you're saying, I would love to meet that person. I would love to be able to connect with that person. And see, for me, that person is Magic Johnson. He's somebody who I want to connect with, not just because he's a celebrity, but that's probably the last reason. It's more because of the fact that he's someone who could be a mentor, an advisor, a coach. And when I do connect with him, I don't want to connect as a fan where I'm here and he's here. I want to connect with him where he sees me as someone who's actually bringing equal value. So that's a long-winded explanation, but do you have a kin connection that you have a person in mind that you say, this is a person who I've met them, that I would like to work with them and they can be impactful in my life? Hello, can you hear me, Sarah? Can you hear me?
I don't know if you can hear me.
I can. Yes. I can.
Okay, so the voice thing went away, and I heard the last bit of what you said about the individual, the kin connection. I think for me that would be Jose Andres. He's very prevalent in the news right now, but I have been a fan for a very long time. I think that for him, food is everything. The man didn't even finish high school, but he is doing the most amazing things for the global community through food. I think that food brings people together. I think it's a way for people to share cultures, to share experiences, and it's like the great equalizer. We all have to eat, right? And so I think in creating, using his terminology, longer tables, we're able to understand one another better and just create that sense of community, whether large or small. And he has just done so much. He started his own philanthropic organization through food. I mean, I think that's amazing, and I would love to meet him. I'm a foodie. I love what he does, and he knows so many wonderful, amazing people, and that came out of just his gift of giving himself. So
excellent. And then my last question is, do you have a book that inspired you?
Let me try this again.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I apologize. I cannot hear. But if you want to type the question, I'm happy to answer.
Okay, I'll type the question. And what book do you find to be influential in your life?
Oh, book. So a book that I would recommend, I'm an avid reader. I read a lot of different types of books, some for fun, some not. But my favorite of the moment, I actually pulled it out. I have a whole bunch sitting on my desk right now, but this one. It's called Be Fearless, Dream Like a Kid by Michaela Ulmer. I don't know if you can see that.
Yes.
It's about an entrepreneur, a child entrepreneur, and how she started her purpose-driven business. And I bought this book to share with my nephew because he himself has entrepreneurial tendencies, and I wanted to share that with him. I wanted him to be able to see that, you know, it's possible. There are kids that can do this, and you can become an adult that is an entrepreneur. And I think, you know, it's written more for a younger audience, but I think anyone can benefit from reading that book. You know, it's very simplistic. It has very clear ideas, and it's just a great story.
Great choice. Great choice. Definitely. Definitely.
I don't have really any last words of wisdom. I mean, I think you just need to wake up every morning and have a positive attitude and try to help someone, you know, pay it forward every day, you know, buy someone a coffee in line, you know, follow Oprah's example of those random acts of kindness.
Absolutely.
Whatever it is, you know, I think that we get so much more from those interactions of helping others, and even that individual that we're helping oftentimes. It's good food for the soul.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And do you have any contact information you'd like to share with our listening audience as well?
If you want to get in touch with me, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Sarah Salimi York. I can share that, or we can share that after the fact. But that's probably the best way. Or marketing@spave.io. I read all of those emails too. So happy to connect in any way, shape, or form.
Okay. Well, thank you, Sarah. This has been the King Connections podcast. And I want to say that I want to thank Sarah for joining me and investing this time and this energy in today's show. And I wish everybody a remaining blessed and productive day. Thank you.
Thank you so much.